besties. You've found your community bestie to share thoughts and opinions, recap the shows we love,
Having too much fun.
Bravo should be fun, and have piping hot gossip sessions about the celebrities and Bravo lebs we love, hate, and love to hate. He went on a podcast claiming he had a threesome with two women from the Real Housewives of Beverly Hills.
Immediately, I was like, I wonder if it's Brandy and Carlton.
I'm Caitlin Marshall, your pop culture and Bravo bestie. Allegedly allegations. And if you enjoy fun conversation between friends, listening to your bestie rant about shows we can't get enough of, plus enjoy a little bit of, well, ridiculousness.
Oh my God. I'm sorry. There's a spider that is coming down. Hold on.
Oh my God! Oh my God!
It's like the Blair Witch Project.
Oh my God. Has anybody seen my ring?
Oh my God.
I don't want to ruin the party or anything.
Have you seen my ring? Oh my God. Can you look on the floor for my ring? God, someone's gonna kill me.
Don't mess with me because I will come.
What? Oh.
Feel free to leave that in for whatever entertainment purposes.
You're in the right place. So thanks for joining me on Besties by Bravo. Hi, besties. Thank you for joining me today. It is Thursday, May 8th, and I am so grateful for having besties like y'all and being understanding that I am recapping the Valley a day late. I know, I'm sorry. It was one of those days where everything had a set plan, and then there was some frustrations, and it just couldn't happen yesterday, unfortunately. But we're just a day late. And maybe $1 short, but that's okay. We're here, and I'm so glad you're joining me. If you're watching on YouTube, please be sure and join the comments, like the video, do all the things. Love seeing y'all a part of the conversation, and oh my God, y'all, you know what I did? Oh my gosh. Actually, it's what I didn't do. I completely forgot to upload to YouTube the Summer House episode I recapped last week. I'm so sorry, YouTube. My God. I know I'm always saying there's a lot going on, but when I say it, my Lord in heaven. We had company come in on Friday when I recorded it, and I think I wrapped up recording like 15 minutes before they got here. So, yes, I'll be uploading the Valley to YouTube, and I will upload the latest episode of Summer House as well, which I am intending to recap Summer House episode 13 immediately after this, if all goes according to plan, but you know how that is. So keep an eye out. If you're listening on audio, go ahead and subscribe to the podcast so that you can get a notification that the new episode is up, so that you don't have to be like, where is this girl? What is this mess doing or not doing? She's supposed to be talking Bravo. And that's exactly what we're going to be doing today. I also wanted to remind y'all, if you are into the secret lives of Mormon wives, I will be recapping season 2. Now, they do release the entire season whenever it does come out. You know, it's fun that way, but it's also a lot more work. So I'm going to do my best to figure out a schedule for that fits with our Bravo schedule. Okay. Now I'm hoping I may not have to be quite as in depth as usual. I always say that, but my notes on the Valley today, normally I have roughly, we're going to say 13 to 14 pages of notes. The font size is 15, just because I probably need reading glasses, but I refuse. So today we're looking at about 27 pages. Because I also transcribed and got super nosy when it came to the messages that Jax was sending Brittany. Got them all. The ones that they didn't even show us on the screen, like fully. So exclusive Besties by Bravo content here, my friends. Let's get on into it. I hope your week has been going well, better than some of the week has been around here. It'll get better. I believe that. I believe. I'm a manifester. And if you don't believe in that, give it a shot. Nothing wrong with that. Okay, friends. Enough of my rambling. We are all going to Santa Barbara. Cute that Jesse has Isabella help him pick out shoes for wine tasting, which also, how in the world would a 4-year-old know what wine tasting is? Just curious. Just curious. Very much just curious. Michelle talks to Aaron about going and how she's super anxious about it. And we go to Kristen and Zach, where he says he feels like this trip is going to be a complete and total shenanigans show. Remember, I cannot curse in the first 10 minutes on YouTube. Sorry. Because Janet is constantly trying to take him down, is how he feels. They all meet up at Janet and Jason's house to drive down. And car one is Zach, Jasmine, Nia, and Danny. And in car one, Zach is telling them about Benji moving to LA for a bit and how he'd marry Benji right now if he could. Oh, that's cute. Now, Jasmine gives Zach a little paper doll version on a stick of Benji. And I just am curious, am I the only one who thought of Flat Stanley? Did anyone else do Flat Stanley when they were in elementary school? I grew up in Oklahoma and I sent mine here with my grandmother. And I say here because they lived in Colorado. And listen, Flat Stanley went to the beauty shop with Grandma Mary Lou. He just had a time, honey. Now, car two is Brittany, Janet, Michelle, and Jason. And Brittany is getting rage texts from Jax. And she's explaining to them that she's learned that Jax is in therapy 7 hours a day where they take his phone while he's in therapy, but that he gets 15-minute breaks with his phone in between therapy sessions. So it's surmised that the exact times of day that Jax is raging at her must be during those 15-minute breaks. She tells them that he's getting his phone, rage texting me, going back to therapy, getting his phone, rage texting me, going back to therapy. Sounds like he's really taking this so very seriously. In confessional, she says that one of the main reasons that Jax is in this facility is due to his rage, you don't say, and that she thought she'd actually get some peace, some tranquility, some just genuine STFU Jax during this 30-day stint, but she says, guess I was stupid to think that. We get pop-ups of some of the texts he's sending her, and when we get to the little go-kart race, I will read off all of the things he texted her combined from what we've seen on the screen all the way to what I transcribed. And when you put it all together, my friends, my effing God, it is deplorable, and it makes me just at him even more. Rotten hail. Michelle says she wishes Jesse would go into a facility too. So we immediately cut over to car 3, which is Jesse, Kristen, and Luke, with Jesse saying that Michelle hadn't even looked at him this morning. Why would she? You just called her a prostitute in a group chat with a bunch of boys who are all gossip girlies. Anyway, he claims he hopes this weekend goes well because he does not want the same type of chaos they've had in the last week. He then says that if Michelle is as happy as she claims she is, then she wouldn't have to tell everyone how happy she is. That's why we immediately cut over to car number 4. No, it was car number 2. Yes. See, I organized it and I'm still unorganized. Welcome to my life. Where Michelle is saying, I am so happy. He is the one that is always screaming and upset. I'm like, if you're so happy, go and be happy. Like, leave me alone. In confessional, Michelle says that her plan for the weekend is to stay as far away from Jesse as possible and not deal with his BS. Jesse, Kristen, and Luke get to the house, and this place is stunning. Oh my gosh. Like, can I live there? I mean, for free, of course. The rest of the cast gets there, and Jesse peeks through the peephole of the door before letting them in and asks if they're willing to leave the drama at the door and comes out handing them little white flags. He then looks at Michelle and says, you need the white flag more than anybody. And she's just like, no. You know, I do just wonder what would happen if either of them gave just maybe a tiny little inch, maybe a centimeter, little millimeter. But also, if I were Michelle and my ex were in a misogynistic, gossip, girly boys chat and claimed he had proof I was a prostitute, I would probably tell him to shove that flag up his. In confessional, Jesse is now trying to show what he's like as a realtor, talking about the home. And I'm sorry, I don't really need his take on the emotional appeal of it. It really is a beautiful home for sure. But Kristen does let us know she's in her ovulation window and is hoping to be doing some baby making on this trip. Oh boy. Jesse says he's already finished off 2 bottles of Prosecco. Please tell me you've been sharing them, surely. Because how are you standing? Melissa's girlfriend shows up, now fiance, congratulations again. And Kristen is placing fertility crystals in her room. It's very Dodie coded. You know what I'm saying? It just is. They're all told they will be going and doing car racing. And in confessional, Janet says that surprisingly, she's never been to a car race and admits, I'm white trash, but I'm not that white trash. And oh boy, you know what? Janet is having little moments that are endearing me to her completely. Help. Everyone is in cute little race outfits, with Danny telling us in confessional about how he was in a satirical movie about Fast and the Furious called Super Fast. Okay, cool. Kristen and Luke are taking a pause to attempt some baby making, which is made all the more obvious by the bed creaking and a very well-placed hat over the doorknob. They finally make an appearance in the kitchen where everyone is waiting. And she does say, look, we at least washed our hands. We did. And, you know, that's considerate. That is. I do hope you did something like put a sound machine in your room. Y'all, I am way too. You would think I had stock in it and were selling sound machines the way I am always promoting them. Jesse is already pissing Michelle off because he's standing there all tipsy, claiming he has an actual F1 sponsor on his race car outfit. Oh my God, you're like so cool, Jesse. Jeez, impregnate me. They make it to the racetrack with Jesse Lawley walking up with the top half of his race jumpsuit thing off, and it's hanging at his waist, trying to look all sexy, carrying a red Solo cup. Sir, you have to know, lover or hater, that is Kim Zolciak's thing, so don't you dare try and steal that. And Michelle just says that he's trying to show off with everyone else basically getting the ick. I just, it's not that it's not okay that he can't be proud of his body and the work he's done on it. It's that he's himself. Sorry. Danny and Luke notice that Jesse has small nipples, and he lets us know they point outward. They go opposite directions and that they are always hard. So this is a mini RC car racing course that they will be doing. And everyone but Brittany is disappointed that it's remote control cars. And now Brittany is getting more texts from Jax. So let's read everything they showed us Jax was texting to Britt. And then let's read what she scrolled through real fast, because my goodness. So it's shown in confessional that he's saying, and I'll tell you where this all tied in. He's a liar. Please don't lie to me. Can you talk to me? Not playing your games. Just be honest. I want this place to work for me, and I will crumble if I find out you are doing that. As in probably spending some time with Julian. I mean, listen, Jax is so out of sorts that Julian's ass put Brittany through that mattress. I'm so sorry, but it's so true. Oh, man. Then we see more of it him saying to her, going out partying while your husband's in a mental health house is come across real nice. So screen grab all this now and send to your friends. You're good at that. I mean, the number of typos. And he even sends to Kristen by sending pics of herself to Julian while I was in Michigan, naked pics and pics of my son. And then it was him sending her, can you please call me? This is important. I am in a mental health clinic. You're not answering my calls. God, what a freaking infant. I am doing this for my son. My God, your family's the most effed up I've ever seen, and they would never do that. Do what you did. I will never forgive you. You destroyed the only thing that I love doing. Okay, so I'm reading what was on the screen. Here's some more that was not in the part that she scrolled, because some of what I'm about to read, or some of what I was reading that was up on the screen, was what she scrolled through. Not making you feel safe or wanted, or asking how you are, which I'm assuming he means himself. Can you call me? I have some stuff I want to say. I just got out of therapy. Oh my God. Can you just shut up? So when she was scrolling, it started from a point where it was cut off of her saying something was not her fault. Then it's Jax. I will never forgive you for this. Brittany, you will see one day. Jax. He says something I can't read here. And then Brittany, I'm going to pick Cruz up. Can you FaceTime with him? Yeah, here we go with Jax. This is all Jax. You showed random people. It's disgusting. And it will be told on TV who you showed and how you played this, as well as texting Julian and the timeline. And you know what? For YouTube, how about this? And those of you listening on audio, I had recreated the text messages to be more readable. So these are not the real messages, but this is everything I transcribed. So pause a moment, everyone. I'll be back. And if you're listening on audio, go ahead and pull up maybe my TikTok. I posted that there too. Don't do that if you're driving, but pause. We'll be right back. Okay, bear with me. We're back. I have not done much of this like image presenting here on YouTube. So, like I said, bear with me, but I figured I already made the visuals, so why not? Okay. So, again, this is a recreation that I made so it'd be easier to read. That's all. This is not the actual messages, but this is what we could see when, or I could see when she was scrolling quickly while talking to Kristen. It starts with where it was cut off, saying something to the effect Brittany was, "That's not my fault." Him saying, "I will never forgive you for this." Her telling him, "You will see one day." Then there was some portion I couldn't read. He was sending more than that. But the next thing she said was, "I'm going to pick Cruz up. Can you FaceTime with him?" He says, "You showed random people. It's disgusting. And it will be told on TV how you played this." Okay, bear with me a little more. And then he says, "As well as texting Julian in the timeline, you took my son from me. Disgusting. I am doing this for my son. My God, your family is the most effed up I have ever seen. And they would never do what you did. You took my job away from me. I've worked so hard for 2 years for this, and you took it away from me. I will never forgive you. You destroyed the only thing that I love doing." Oh, the only thing that you love doing is reality TV. Oh, okay. Got it. Even Ryan said, "I don't blame you. What she did was ruthless. Showing random people that video is absolutely disgusting." Don't know who Ryan is, but I'm going to guess the video is either the footage of when he had his temper tantrum at Brittany, mhm, or another moment he had a temper tantrum at Brittany. That's my biggest guess. "You better be taking care of that house. You said you have to be there a few times a week to get the packages. Take care of the home. You put me in here. Now do the effing work as a single mom. I am watching cameras and you're not there." Uh-huh. Again, where was my effing note if you cared? Yet you have time to text Julian. You want to work on our marriage. You believe your own bullshit. Screen grab this, send blank it to producers. You're good at being a narc on her husband. She tells him, "I went there today and grabbed things and straightened up. Zuli," that's their nanny, "is staying there with Cruz." He says, "So you can go back to house and F Julian. Trust me, I gave my friends your address. They are going to stop by." Excuse me? That is that is unequivocally a threat. That is disgusting. If you want to talk about what's disgusting, Jax. She says, "No, Jax, I have nothing to do with him." And he's still on about how she couldn't have gone and sent him a note. She then says, "Just wait, Jax, I have things for you." And he says, "Yeah, you go have fun in Santa Barbara on my show that I got you. I want nothing from you. I want to see my son. That's the only thing I want from you." And then she scrolled very, very fast. So that was difficult for a second there. Let's pull up some more. Then she asks him, "Can you FaceTime him after school?" "Not happening. I call the shots, not you." Oh, okay. Then "You had 5 days to prove and send things or leave a note. You did nothing. You're lazy and selfish, all for you to play the victim." She says, "I didn't even know I was allowed to send anything. Please stop hounding me." He says, "Because you didn't even try." And then he goes, "Hounding you? You took my life away, my identity. You took my show away from me. You had to show videos to people." She says, "No, I didn't. You are still on the show." I mean, I get that that's also his income and his career. I will say I get that. But at the same time, shouldn't you be a little more concerned about other things? He then says, "I wish for 1 minute you would put me first and act like you care. Instead of texting other men pics of you and my son and texting me at the same time when I was in Michigan." She says, "I promise you I care. I love you so much." And he says, "Like, how could you do that? How could you leave the house, us hooking up, and then text another man?" Blows my mind. I thought things were going well, and then you did that. And so, if you're watching on YouTube, there's some dashes happening there next to parts where they fully would not let us see it. They covered it up with the speech bubbles, but that's where he's saying he lies, has multiple kids, then clearly saying something like lives in a 1 or 2 bedroom apartment, and I'm guessing something about low standards. Then he says it's pathetic. You have to pay for his shit. And she says, Jax, I do not have any contact with Julian whatsoever. And he says, you said that before you left for Kentucky. And then he says, you lied. And she tells him, I promise you I didn't. Add it all together, my friends. And what a freaking pain in the ass. Okay. Oh, not Janet being on point again. Janet goes, only Jax would rage text from rehab. Brittany tells Kristen that she's getting the rage text, but Kristen tells her that Jax had actually texted her earlier saying how much he loves it in this facility. And again, Brittany tells Kristen that he's sending those messages because he knows everyone is coming there and wants them all to believe that this is the attitude he's had the whole time. He has FOMO, and he's pissed that Brittany isn't as miserable as he is at the moment, but threatening her with giving her address to his friends to stop by. You are a demon, Jax. She tells Kristen that Jax told her to put him in prison. Oh, I'm sorry. She tells Kristen that Jax told her she put him in prison and that he's miserable. But today, when he found out that they were going to Santa Barbara, that's when he started texting that he likes being there and is trying to take things seriously. Because he knew they'd all be talking about him on camera, obviously, which is what she wants. But now knowing that he's been texting everyone else saying these things, at the same time he's texting her these rage messages, she realizes he's being even more manipulative than before. So in her confessional, we see the messages I've read off, but the rest, that she tells us is so freaking wild and on brand for this psychotic narcissist. According to Brittany, he's also saying that she's not being a good enough wife, asking her why she hasn't sent him care packages yet or visit him, but that it's only been 3 freaking days. He is insufferable. There are no words to the depths of my rage towards Jax Taylor. Kristen is such a real one for this, though, because I think the response that she gives Jax is also to get him to direct his rage texting at her and not at Brittany anymore, personally. She tells Jax, and I'm so proud of Brittany for putting herself first. So she lets Brittany know that now he's going in on her, and Brittany wants to see, but Kristen tells her that she doesn't even want to know because the things he's saying to her is what he normally says to Brittany, and Brittany still wants to see. And that's when Zack comes up and they all agree that it's wild that Jax even is allowed to have his phone and question what type of facility it is to even allow this. In confessional, Brittany says that Jax has to take this seriously because it will make or break the rest of his life. She worries that if Jax doesn't get help now, he's just going to keep spiraling, which is what scares her. He literally is so narcissistic. He just wants her to be as miserable as he is. That's it. That's all. And he wants to scare her. He's wanting to intimidate her, make her feel less than so that she will bend to his will. And I'm so freaking proud of her for not allowing it. The boundaries are there. And if I were her, I would block him. Period. Ignore, block, screenshot, do all of the things. And I would have it so documented and let some sort of authorities know that whichever ones will take me seriously, that this man is threatening me. So the remote control car race begins, and whoever wins will be relinquished from any and all house duties for the day. And okay, fine. Janet did crack me up a little bit, and I can't tell if it was intended as a dig at Zack or not. But in confessional, she says that when she plays Mario Kart, she's usually Princess Peach, and that she's a little annoyed that Zack's out on the track looking all cute with his umbrella because he's stealing the whole Princess Peach vibe. Okay, RC car racing commences, blah, blah, blah. Also, when they make it to their final, competition, and Jesse goes to pick up his car to remove it from the race, but he actually grabs Luke's. Now, it's out in the headlines at this point that Jax is in a facility, and Brittany says she doesn't know who the source is and that some of the details that people seem to know, it's a bit weird. A bit creepy. She and Janet announced for everyone to keep it from Jax that TMZ has released this information. And Brittany says that somehow Jax knew they were all going on this trip and wants to know who spilled the beans. Of course. It was Jesse who told Jax they were going on the trip and says he talks to Jax every day. Oh my God, good for you. Britt tells him, like, come on, man. It's just going to get Jax all riled up and upset. And it's not going to be at you, Jesse, you asshole. It comes back onto her. How can you not understand that? Janet giving the on point statement here again that we don't want him to check out because he can check out whenever he wants. And if he gets all riled up and upset, that's probably what he'll try and do. Jason says he spoke to Jax on the phone the previous day and that he's still blaming Brittany for a lot of what's going on. Fucking uneffing believable to me. Wow. So shocking. Jason says that Jax hasn't gotten to a point where he can work on himself yet. Oh my gosh, you don't say, Jason. I know we love you, Jason, but seriously, you don't say. In confessional, Jesse seems to think it's confusing that it's such a big deal that Jax knows they're all on a trip to Santa Barbara, because in his mind, the actual thing that would have set Jax off is going and not telling him. Bruh, he's gonna freak out no matter what. But I wonder exactly how you delivered this, by the way. And I'm sorry, what the F? Is Brittany not supposed to work and earn her own living just because Jax is angry that he has to face his own demons and get the help he so desperately has needed for so many years? I mean, make it make sense. Make it make sense. Jesse then says, yeah, you can be Team Brittany and she deserves support, but why does Jax not deserve support? Oh my God. Really? He deserves support when he takes real ownership and accountability for being so abusive to Brittany without solely blaming it on the substances or her, Jesse. He constantly shifts blame. And yes, the substances played an enormous part, but he also makes his own choices while sober. He can never take the full accountability through genuine words or actions. It's very clear in the tone of voice Jax starts taking whenever he's full of shit. Okay, we've been watching him long enough. We're not stupid. But now Jesse says to Brittany and Janet, while Jason is standing there, that he wants to talk to them about his quote unquote friend. And for you guys to social bully her and call people and tell them to block her. Social bully. Okay. Janet says she didn't tell anyone to block this girlfriend of his, but Jesse says that Jason called him and told him, Jason, what the fuck? Janet says the truth, in my opinion, which is, hey, it's different to tell your own husband to block someone than to be calling friends and random people demanding that they do so. Do you hear me agreeing with Janet so much? What is happening? Someone check my temperature. Am I okay? She says that she's had nothing but wonderful things to say about this friend of Jesse's, and that she also said it's better than the and then she also says, it's better than the hoes that Jax is dating, posting screenshots about nom-nomming ass. Ew. Oh my God. Because we know how filthy Jax is too. And is that what the baby wipe was for on the counter on top of the thong? Brittany says she thought this girlfriend of Jesse's was very nice, but it's about her sending letters of legal nature to Michelle, and that Jesse allowing it was disgusting to her. But Jesse defends her, saying that Michelle was saying things that weren't true about the girlfriend. And the flashback gives us the indication that it's about when they had to call Sheener to confirm that the girlfriend told people they weren't together and she was sleeping with other people. Apparently someone from Baywatch. I hope it's the current Baywatch, the most recent one, but who knows? In confessional, Brittany says that she's very uncomfortable with the new person coming into their group, trying to say that there's slander and defamation going on. And hey, Brittany's done some reading, or at least watched a few TikToks, because she says it can't be slander if the things that are being talked about came out of your own mouth. Oh, it's true. And oh my God, Janet, I'm kind of living for you right now. What's happening? Janet asks Jesse, are you guys together right now? Because she knows. And Jesse just says no. So she asks him why he's defending a girl that he's not even together with against the mother of his child. Oh, Jason, what's happening here? Take a moment not to do this right now, because Jason tells her it's because he still likes this girl and wants to be with her. And then, okay, excuse me, Jesse. He tells Janet, don't effing manipulate the situation right now. Jason, did you hear the way he's talking to your wife? Jason. Brittany asks him who manipulated anything, but Jesse goes, I'm talking to her. I'm not talking to you right now. Oh my God, Jesse, you're such a prick. Janet tells him nothing is being manipulated. She just doesn't like that his ex, or whatever she is trying to threaten litigation against her friend, Michelle. And Jesse then goes, "Stop trying to play an effing game with me, okay? You're calling it a game because you're losing the argument, obviously, you moron." And then he tells her she's not suited for this game. And Jesse, I swear to God, I will never be on your side again. That's it. You've lost me completely. And I don't care how awful Michelle is to you. You won't get me back on your side. Watch me flop over next week. Brittany just cannot handle this drama anymore because she has enough on her plate. Let's be real. So she and Janet walk off with Janet telling Jesse it's bullshit because his little friend shouldn't be threatening legal action. Jesse really thinks he's about to leave her with like a 4th-degree burn, and that's going to be scorching with this little comeback here when he says, "Yeah, well, you know what? Your best friend shouldn't have been cheating on me for 2 years, but she did." And goddamn, I'm afraid Janet ate Jesse up just a little bit with this statement. Janet just tells him, "Honestly, if I was married to you, I'd be cheating on you too." And oops, it was like kind of almost a confirmation that Michelle was cheating on him, maybe by accident, or maybe it wasn't. So that drama is over for now. Danny won. He doesn't have to do any house duties. Fantastic. We're back at the house. And Janet, Jason, Danny, Michelle, and Brittany are all joking in the kitchen that it's crazy how much Jesse drinks and still manages to look so youthful. Michelle has to get a little dig in there saying, "Well, he spends thousands of dollars on moisturizers, so he should." We're all making dinner together, and there's broccoli, which, listen, I have my hack that is so very simple if you have broccoli haters in your household. And you will be shocked. You will be shocked at all it takes here is if you get the broccoli, break it apart into like small pieces, make sure they're no bigger than a quarter size, lots of olive oil, lots of salt, some pepper, put it in the oven at like 400 degrees, give it 20 minutes, make sure at least a majority of the leaves are kind of almost blackened, a little crunchy. I'm telling you, even someone who hates broccoli will end up going for seconds. I've watched it happen. They got to be crunchy and small, though. Probably without all their nutrients. But hey, you listen for food hacks, don't you? Zack goes over to Michelle and says he wants to pull Janet aside for a chat before the rest of the night and festivities again. In other words, before everyone is wasted. And is basically asking her if she thinks it's a good time, but Michelle seems kind of iffy about it. And that's when Janet makes her way over, sort of making some small talk about what beer's in the fridge, which Brittany notices Zack, Janet, and Michelle seeming to have a peaceful little small talk kind of conversation. And she's just like, "I'm so happy. Look at my friends talking and getting along so happy. Happy as a little clam on a pig's back in the summer." Don't ask. They go outside together, Janet and Zack, and they are being nice and jokey with each other. In confessional, Janet says she hopes Zack can open up to her and take the accountability for the shitty things he said last year. But then she says, "I think it's big of me to even talk to Zack after the cruel things he said about me." It's big of you, Janet. Is it really? Girl, don't say things like that, okay? Don't say it. Don't say it. Zack tells her they need to figure this out and says it's not just him that's been an issue, though. And Janet says, "Yes, it is. And I am a nice person despite the mean girl comments." But she yells that, which makes everyone inside think that people are yelling and they move to the back door. But Janet, it was a huge culmination of things you've said over many interviews, confessionals, and on camera and interviews and podcasts that included people coming to this conclusion. Okay. But you and I actually, Janet, happen to have friends in common, and some of these friends are the kindest, most supportive, and precious people. So that is truly the only reason I might give you a little bit of the benefit of the doubt because I love some of these people. And I don't imagine that they'd hang out with a monster, but I need you to stop the monster behavior. You've been good this episode, and you were good last episode. So let's keep it up. But they realize inside that they're just laughing outside, and it makes Brittany very happy again, happier than a pig in shit. Zack tells Janet that he feels like a lot of things just went sideways between them, and that while he's responsible for a lot of them, he also feels that she's responsible for a few of them. He says, "I want you to know that there always was sincerity in my apology, and I thought that we had apologized and moved forward. And then you just dropped me, and there was no friendship anymore all of a sudden," which is interesting because on the after show, he said that he and Janet were really good friends at one point, and then in her portion of the after show, she's like, "No, we were never really good friends." And that's pretty damn hurtful because that's also very recent considering in Jax's portion of the after show, he had to address accidentally exposing himself in front of his house and being caught doing it on TMZ. And no, Jax, I don't believe at all that your little couchie is so large that you accidentally showed it while adjusting. I do think you did it by accident, Jax, but you're a disgusting, repulsive male who doesn't consider who may be around when you're fixing your junk, or it may be out there. I mean, you did have sex with Faith while an elderly woman was in the room. So I don't think you really feel terrible when you expose yourself. He brings up that while Zach does, sorry, back on track. Zach brings up that while he thought they were good and in a good place, that when Janet disinvited him to Big Bear, it really hurt. And she says their relationship was not in a good place until her birthday, which was shortly before the baby moon. And with the baby moon situation, that when Jason rented the house, there was uncertainty if there was room for everyone in there and enough rooms. So she's trying to insinuate that there were not enough rooms. And with that, she had to make some decisions on who to cut and that she had to consider if she and Zach were at that place. And so it made him easier to cut. Zach's getting pretty annoyed at this narrative, but she does admit that she should have had a conversation with him about it and that when it did come time to have one, it just went south. And we get the flashback confirming for us that that conversation was the argument at Jax's bar opening party. But then, Janet says, Brittany came to me after the opening of Jax's and she said, we have to get lunch. I have to tell you, things got really bad. Zach got like crazy last night. We had to have him taken out of the bar and she was shaking and almost in tears telling me. And more flashbacks of the whole thing at Jax's bar opening. She then tells Zach that him saying, I hope something bad happens, cut me. And if your goal was to cut me that night, you won. I am getting so annoyed by this because unless there was more that we didn't see, then was it super awful what what Zach, it's always awful what Jax says, but what Zach said, yes, 1,000,000,000%. I'm not just being like some sort of Zach apologist, but we did not see him say that he hopes something bad happens to her in her pregnancy. Either way, it was shitty, but it wasn't. That's extreme. That's a whole other type of thing to say you hope something bad happens. And if he did say that, Jesus Christ, Zach, that's not good. He tells her he took full responsibility and that whatever he said, he will own, adding in confessional that he was blacked out that night and that he was having a conversation with his best friend and that this is an example of Brittany taking Janet's side. So he kind of sees it as a betrayal. Okay, I'm a little torn on this because that is, again, if he was saying that to Brittany, fucked up on a million levels, okay? I also don't blame him for feeling that way, that it was a betrayal, and I don't blame Brittany for telling Janet completely if she and Janet really were that close. But also, can I be so real? I don't know that I would repeat the worst if he did say that of what he said to Janet, mostly because she would have still been pregnant. And if he did, in fact, say that, then she didn't need to hear that until after her baby arrived safely and healthy, in my opinion. I don't think it would have been good for her mental health at that point. I would have been distraught to hear that if I heard it while I was still pregnant. And that was a dumb decision on Brittany's end. I'm sorry. If you felt the need to tell her after her baby's healthy and safe and with her, because she's at least not pregnant anymore. Just my opinion. But they agree that because Janet went home, she's never going to know exactly what was actually said that night. And it kind of sounds like Zach doesn't think he'll ever actually know what was exactly said that night. Then Janet says, but I do know what Brittany told me, and that's what I have to live with. Zach just starts tearing up, saying it's going down such a wrong path and that he needs to stop. And clearly because he doesn't want it to be now him and Brittany against each other, because I think they're just now finally in a good place because Brittany took a big step away from Zach whenever this all happened. So then he yells for Nia to come hold his hand. I guess he just needed Mama there to comfort him, which was also a little odd, but also funny and cute because he definitely looks at Nia as mother. But they agree to move forward and want to have a good time with the group, and they do a whole group hug. We will now be doing a group healing session. And right now, I am going to give all of y'all a trigger warning for infertility because I would never want to trigger anyone in that sense. Okay. So if you need to skip ahead across this part, go ahead like 10, maybe 8 minutes. Okay. Think you should be good. Oh, my heart, Kristen. She takes an ovulation test that tells her the last day of ovulation for her was that day when she should have actually had more time. Oh, don't cry, Caitlin. You've cried enough times on this podcast. Um, she's crying and she says, I hate my body. Oh, that broke my heart. Because God, see, look at me crying. Am I PMSing? What's happening? Being a woman and that pressure, how we have that biological clock that it starts at like 18, the only age that society deems it acceptable to have a child, rightfully so. And then you have until you're like 35, 36. And then it's almost like you're useless at that point. And that's not how I feel, but that's how we kind of get treated. But I am so, so happy for her that it has turned out the way that it has and that they have that baby girl coming. And gosh, that baby is so very wanted. Oh my gosh. I'll go ahead and lump this part all together. Where Nia ends up going in to support Kristen through all of this. And, she really empathizes with her. And I know she was so fortunate to have a happy ending and not everyone does. And that's the reality of things right now. Like I've said on here before, I would have already been trying to have my second child if it weren't for finances. And then you add in the added pressure of that biological clock that I think should have been put on men. Because I think it should have, just like I feel like men should have had to have periods anyway, or at least they should have to get the cramps instead of us whenever they're in a relationship so that they can empathize with us. But I'm 36, it's getting up there, and doing IVF is at the moment between $15,000 and $30,000 in cost. And again, to the person who got very bent out of shape, you asshole, there are ways to say things. Apparently it was IUI. I am so sorry, but I also did not say it was a fact that Kristen and Luke did IVF. So pay attention to how I talk if you're going to be a dickhead. Yeah, okay, maybe I am PMSing, fine. So Jason, Danny, and Jesse, we're done with the fertility talk for now, okay, honeys? Jason, Danny, and Jesse. Why is that trio of names difficult to say? They're all sitting outside chatting with Jason asking Jesse if he's spoken to Michelle on the trip. And Jesse thinks he's cute to go, who's Michelle? But says he hasn't spoken to her and plays baby victim about her not taking that stupid effing white flag. Oh, she didn't take my white flag. In confessional, Jesse says that, yeah, of course, Michelle isn't speaking to him. And that, he got into it a bit with Janet and Brittany, but that he came into the trip with the idea of letting everything go and leaving it in LA, but admits that it was a failure in that regard. Now, out in the kitchen area, Brittany hears Zack full-blown sobbing. So she asks him why he's crying because she thought he and Janet had a good conversation. Well, he lets Brittany know that Janet just let him know that she and Brittany went to lunch together and that's when Brittany told Janet what he had said that night. And this all comes back to Brittany. And I wonder how many issues could have been avoided if she hadn't run to Janet with that. I get on the one hand why she felt she needed to tell her, but I also don't think it was the best decision. And also, Zack is such a loyal, longtime friend of Brittany. I don't know, man. I don't think Janet needed to hear it. Either way, I don't think she needed to hear it. Sounds more like Brittany just wanted to vent and gossip, which is okay. But at the same time, that's like your bestie, Brittany. Brittany just tells him that she told Janet because it was bad. He questions why the F Brittany told her then. And she does admit, I mean, maybe I shouldn't have, but at the same time, if she said the same things you said about her to me, I would have told you. And he's like, that is not true. And she's like, yes, it is. Yes, it is. In confessional, Zach says he gives Brittany a lot of leeway because of what she's going through and that she does know him and who he is, and that she should have been aware after all these years, essentially, that him saying things like that while he's plastered should have been something to basically not take as seriously, and he should have known better, and she should have known better than to tell Janet this. Okay, but I also disagree that she has to just sit there and be cool with you if you were saying those type of things, okay? Seriously, because as a mother, that's if you said that, that's fucked up. She hugs him and his face ends up right in those like triple D's, which they joke about with him saying it's what he wanted because it comforts him. Now it's the healing ceremony with Willa. Now, friends, she is a ceremonialist, embodiment guide, and sacred photographer. Listen, y'all, I am woo-woo AF, okay? I manifest. I wear a bracelet all the time with crystals on it that I will charge in the sun. I meditate. I connect with my spirit guide. Pretty sure there's just one because the rest probably all quit. But what the fuck is a sacred photographer? Aura photography, maybe? Does she photograph ghosts? Because I want to see. Like, what is that? Does anyone else love ghost shows? Like, I know Ghost Adventures is fake as hell, but I'm telling you, we love watching Ghost Adventures in this house. In a world, if you know what I'm talking, if you know, you know. Okay. Brittany is worried she's going to laugh inappropriately, and I don't blame her, but this is right up Kristen Mariposa Doty's alley. Like, all we really need is for Willa to grab something that looks like lavender out of the yard and just say, take it. It's edible, honey. In confessional, Brittany says, I don't know anything about crystals and sage, but like maybe if we all just rolled up a big fat joint and passed it around the circle, we'd be giggling, getting along, just like real chill, man. Okay, but she actually is onto something. Like if they all smoked like some sort of hybrid or like a little bit of an indica, put on a compilation of funny cat and puppy videos, I think they'd all be in very good spirits. Listen, you're having a bad day. You don't even have to necessarily smoke some weed, but it does help. Just like a little light puff puff, or like a little num num, whatever you need to do. Put on some stupid ass animal videos, like some dumb goat videos. Okay. It really can lift you up. And, for men, straight men specifically, I know y'all love a fart video. So, do whatever. Willa says she's here to share their connection with Mother Earth, heart centers, and sacred connection. And that a willing heart is all you need to have transformation. That part, she's not wrong. Like, yeah, you just have to actually want things to be better. Gosh, I'd be such a great embodiment guide, sacred photographer. Okay, whatever. Jasmine says in her confessional, she's not really into the whole woo-woo thing. She loves God, but she knows this group is a shit show that needs an exorcism for the demons. Listen, y'all are halfway there because Jax isn't there. So you exorcised half of those demons out. They will be doing a sacred mandala in the center, which is apparently a geometric shape that represents the universe in Buddhism. Yes, I had to Google it. Yes, I at first imagined a fleur-de-lis. And yes, this Google search also led me to a line of body scrubs that are also safe for pregnant women called mandala scrubs. So they're each taking a chunk of earth magic to put in the circle. And they're talking about what they're going to call to themselves and release. Listen, I'm all for the woo-woo, okay? But also the earth magic, they're putting the carnations, leaves, eucalyptus that Willa bought at Whole Foods in a bouquet and making a shape out of them. Can we call a spade, friends? Brittany goes first, releasing hatred and resentment and getting back happiness and get my sparkle back. Michelle is next, saying she has a lot of releasing to do. And also, Brittany is not able to avoid the giggles. Okay, she's her way through all of this. Michelle wants to release the stress and anxiety with accepting a new life of happiness and love. And Jessie is acting like she just said, I'm releasing a man baby who clearly uses a high school girls basketball player's headband to set his hair, and accepting the D from a wide-eyed, honey-selling Temu version of him. In confessional, Jessie says he doesn't want to get up and put flowers on the ground, saying he releases animosity from Michelle while looking at her face that's cold as ice. Oh, Jessie, get over it. Jason is releasing insecurity and accepting confidence. Janet is releasing anxiety, accepting new beginnings. Nia, of course, is just calling in peace and love, with Danny releasing pride, accepting joy, Jasmine releasing fear. And Luke is kind of trying to say he's releasing, trying to find that family base in California and accepting the family that is this group, because that's what they've become to him. And Janet says, I knew you were family when you won me 3,000 tickets last weekend, even more than Jason is even my husband. Okay, well, that was nice. Now they gather in a circle with Willa asking them to share anything they've been called to share. And Jason brings up that there's a person missing tonight, and eye roll. He says that it's the person who co-parents with Brittany. I will say I do appreciate the way he phrased that. Brittany appreciates it, saying it was sweet of him to say, and that she was afraid to say anything because she doesn't want to ball cry. And we get a diary video from Jax in rehab. He says, hey, everybody, just a couple days here. I was very standoffish. I was just out of my element. I didn't want to be here. I didn't like the people here. I didn't want to hear anything from anybody. I'm getting emotional every day, to be honest. I'm finally finding some emotions that I didn't know I had. I hate the fact that I'm here. She's out there. I know she's going on trips, things like that. I just feel like sometimes I feel alone. I feel a little neglected. I wish she would check on me more. I know that I've done a lot of damage. Okay, I'll translate this portion of it, shall I? Hey, viewers, I want you to think that even though I rage texted Brittany like a monster, even threatening her with surveillance, you should feel sorry for me because I'm actually a victim here. Brittany shouldn't be on a work trip and enjoying herself in any way possible, even though it's not like she could be in here with me. So I think that because I've made these choices in my life, Brittany shouldn't have the choice to be anywhere except at home cleaning and speaking to no one. She should be isolating herself, not making money, and having a support system around her. I'm really, really angry and sad that my choices have put me here, and angry that I have the disease of addiction, which, while that's not my fault, it's Brittany's fault. Brittany should be crying at home and calling me so often that I can scream at her for checking in on me instead of screaming at her for not checking in on me so much. That she's annoying me and preventing me from healing because it's all her fault, not mine. She didn't even send a note or care package of beef jerky, a fleshlight, and an iPad with multiple OF subscriptions. Basically, what I'm saying, she's a horrible, estranged wife. I know I've been a monster to everyone, but everyone should forget that because I'm a victim of being forced to get help. I'm a victim of being forced into rehab that I can afford, while so many people out there struggling with addiction can't afford to get help in a comfy facility like this. Okay, so we'll continue with what he did actually say as well. When we got married, it was in sickness and in health, and right now I'm sick. There's a lot of hurt. There's a lot of anger. There's a lot of demons inside me. I feel like this place is allowing me to talk about it all. I can't keep going with this. It's just killing me. It's killing my wife. It's killing my family. And it's going to destroy my son if I don't get it fixed. Okay, here's more translation. She married me knowing me I'm a monster, so it's her fault. And she also married me knowing I've always been sick, so it's her fault. And she should continue to baby me, even though I'm only going to accept that right now I screwed up. So it's her fault. I have demons inside me and it's their fault, not mine. But I'm also starting to realize maybe, just maybe, I've been a minion of the Antichrist born out of Satan's anus and actually feel a little bad. So because I feel bad, you should feel bad and sorry for me, because you should feel sorry for someone who feels guilty, finally, for being a horrible person. Also, it's all Brittany's fault. What do you think? Now we're back with the group where they're passing around a gratitude ball. And Brittany goes first, saying she's so grateful for her son. He's the light of her life, and she just misses him so much. It would, in the middle of all of that, be very difficult to be away from your child. I gotta admit, I would be very tempted to bring him with me. Jesse goes, and here we go. Here we go. Does anyone have a mini violin? He says, I'm in the middle of a very toxic effing situation right now. He's crying, and Michelle is just staring off into space. I mean, dude, come on. You both of you. I mean, I've been having a hard time picking a side, and I just can't anymore because I'm not on either of your sides. You've been heinous to each other. He goes on saying, the fact that Isabella is thriving is amazing, so I'm grateful for that. Then he just goes, So yeah, Michelle, Zach sees through it, honey. He does. And so he rolls his eyes like the rest of us because isn't it this that now I'll translate for Jesse? I'm crying. Do you see that? There's 3 tears here. And if I squeeze hard, I can make it 5. Now, everybody look at Michelle. See, Michelle's not even crying. Ice queen, ice princess. So, yes, do I believe that he has every right, reason, and that he is genuinely heartbroken and upset because divorce sucks, man, especially with a child. But I also think, again, it's a mutually destructive bomb that they built together. And these two weaponize their own child in every little tiny thing that they possibly can. You both made the bomb together. Why don't you dismantle it together? In confessional, Michelle says that it's hard to think of a good memory when someone has hurt you so much and admits how nasty this divorce has been, adding how she really got to see Jesse's true colors in this separation and divorce. And apparently, Jesse, since he can't physically like fight Michelle, he is dying to just fight someone. So Zach's the lucky contestant here. And after Zach has rolled his eyes, he tells Zach, "Don't roll your eyes with her like you did with me," after tossing the ball to Michelle. And Zach, our guardian Gangel, throwback to him being the impenetrable wall in that hallway fight last season at the Mondrian, that of course involved Jesse as the number 1 perpetrator. He tells Jesse, "I didn't roll it with her. It was with you." So Jesse turns to Jason, and because he's a tough little metrosexual, he tells Jason, "I will effing bury that guy off of a cliff." Well, wouldn't it be that you'd bury him into a cliff? Like, I think you mean I will shove him off of a cliff and bury him under it? That doesn't even make sense. Michelle says she needs a moment to think because it's been a very long time. Now, I also think Michelle misunderstood the assignment. It's something you're grateful for. Okay. Like Isabella, new beginnings. There, I did it for you, babe. But Jesse is burying his face in his hands dramatically as she says this. And we get flashbacks from last season and this season up to the point, seeing the struggles and the Instagram pictures of their relationship. But she finally says, "A great moment was when we were deciding to finally have a child together." It wasn't, honey, it wasn't about a great moment, dear. It was, babes, it was something you were grateful for. But Jesse storms off. In confessional, Jesse makes sure we see all the wetness and the tears on his face as he's talking, because every good actor knows you're supposed to let the camera see your tears. He's saying that all good things must come to an end and that it was good between them at one point. Jason has now gone up to Jesse's room where clearly a producer sent him. And y'all, we got to remember, this is Jason's only actual reality TV experience, aside from the episodes of Vanderpump Rules that Janet has forced him to watch. And how many times do you think this poor man had to watch the one singular episode Janet was on Vanderpump Rules where she was hemming the serge dresses for Sheena and Charlie at Sheena's apartment out in Marina Del Rey? Jesse is telling Jason he will go home right now and then tells Jason, "So go the F downstairs. Please." I mean, at least he did say please. Jason is telling him it's a tough situation and how he can't imagine how difficult it is doing all this with your ex-wife. And we see what Jesse's wearing. And I think, what's her account? Coco Makoko said Jesse and his beige manties. And y'all, though, why were they so baggy? Beige droopy draws over there. They look like the color of dishwater. What is happening? Anyway, Jesse says, "I am done with this shat," and tells the cameras to GTFOH, get the F out of here. And the preview shows Jesse wearing the girls' basketball headband that I referenced. And Michelle getting mad enough at him to throw some water in his face. Okay, my friends, that is the end of this recap of The Valley episode 4, season 2. If you're listening on audio, please do your girl a solid. Leave a review with a comment about what you do like about the show. Pretty please. Thank you so much. And if you're watching on YouTube, join the comment section, like the video, subscribe, and check me out on all the socials. It's at Besties by Caitlin, CAITLIN, on Instagram, TikTok, and on YouTube. Friends, check out the Pop Culture Besties Etsy merch shop. It's all designed by yours truly, and like 95% of it is Bravo. All right, friends, before my voice completely tires out, I am going to hop into a Summer House recap while it's fresh on the noggin. So keep an eye out. That'll be next. Thanks again for joining. Bye.